Hello and welcome. You're watching Deep Dive. My name is Vineet Malhotra, and in today's episode, we take you inside one of the most explosive workplace controversies to hit global banking giant JPMorgan Chase. Well, a case filled with shocking allegations, sharp denials, and serious questions about power, race, and workplace culture. At the center of the storm is a former employee identified in reports as Chirayu Rana, who has leveled sensational accusations against senior JPMorgan executive Lorna Hajdini. The allegations include sexual harassment, coercion, racial humiliation, retaliation, and abuse of authority. But there is a major twist in this story. The bank and the accused executive have strongly denied all charges, calling them baseless after an internal probe. So who are the key players? What are the allegations, and why has this case become international headline news? According to reports, Chirayu Rana worked at JPMorgan in New York and was employed in the investment banking setup. He reportedly filed legal action after claiming that he was subjected to months of harassment by a senior female executive. In the complaint, Rana allegedly said he was treated not as an employee but as what he described as a brown boy sex slave. Those words have drawn the most attention globally because they combine accusations of sexual exploitation with racial degradation. He claimed that his Indian identity was mocked, that offensive language was used against him, and that he was pressured through workplace hierarchy. And according to allegations, Rana said he feared damage to his career promotions and future opportunities if he resisted. Reports also stated that the executive was accused of drugging and coercive behavior. Rana's legal team has claimed that he was later diagnosed with PTSD following the alleged ordeal. The lawsuit reportedly paints a picture of a toxic power dynamic where a junior employee felt trapped under the authority of a senior executive. These claims, if proven, would raise serious concerns not just about one person but about systems of accountability inside powerful corporations. Now, it is important to state clearly that these are allegations. They have not been proven in court. The woman named in the controversy is Lorna Hajdini, reported to be a senior executive in JPMorgan's leveraged finances division. She's said to have held an influential role handling high-value corporate finance matters, and until now, she was largely known within finance circles, not the public eye. But after the lawsuit surfaced, her name went global almost overnight. Hajdini has strongly denied the accusation. Through legal responses carried in media reports, she has rejected any inappropriate conduct and challenged the credibility of the claims. In one of the most discussed responses, she reportedly said that she had never even been to one of the locations where an alleged incident was said to have taken place. That denial has become central to the case because it directly contradicts the complaint. JPMorgan Chase has also backed its executive and denied the allegations. Reports say the bank conducted an internal review involving HR and legal teams. According to the company, the investigation found no evidence supporting the claims. The bank has also reportedly argued that the complainant did not fully cooperate in internal processes. So now, two completely opposite narratives have emerged. On one side, a former employee says he was harassed, racially humiliated, and exploited by someone senior to him. On the other side, one of the world's biggest banks say that the accusations are false, unsupported, and contradicted by facts. This is why the story has gained such massive attention. It flips many assumptions around workplace misconduct cases. It involves a male employee accusing a female superior. It brings race into the center of the allegations, and it puts one of the world's most powerful financial institutions under scrutiny. And beyond the courtroom drama, the case raises deeper questions. Can workplace power be abused regardless of gender? Are employees truly safe when complaining against senior leadership? Can internal investigations inside corporations be trusted by the public? And how much damage is done to reputations before a court ever reaches a verdict? For Chirayu Rana, this is a fight for credibility and justice. For Lorna Hajdini, it is a battle of clearing her name. For JPMorgan, it is a reputational test over workplace culture and accountability. And for the wider corporate world, it is a reminder that allegations involving hierarchy, race, and misconduct can shake even the most powerful institutions. As of now, there has been no final judicial ruling. No verdict has established guilt or innocence. the legal and reputational battle is still unfolding. Because in the end, this is no longer just about one lawsuit, it is about whether truth, trust, and justice can survive inside the world's most powerful boardrooms. Let's talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show is Khushbu Jain, advocate. Khushbu, there is a paradox to this kind of a problem. First of all, it's basically asking a criminal to conduct his or her own case and find themselves either guilty or not guilty. That is something that should not, in fact, even happen with a company like JPMorgan. They should have hired an independent committee from outside to do this kind of an investigation. Secondly, in this kind of a environment and ecosystem, it gets very, very difficult to prove anything. Anybody can say anything bad about anyone. So it necessarily does not leave the courts also with too much tangible and palpable evidence to work with. How do you think such sensitive cases which involve so much should be handled?
See, I think that's where we need to look into the Vishaka judgment and the guide at the POSH Act that has come into existence in India. This is purely to bring in that parity, that transparency, so that one doesn't try its own. Because here, when you talk about matters where is misconduct in the sexual harassment or any kind of misconduct, sexual misconduct in the office environment, where there is always an element of superior and the junior, is where I think it doesn't play in a manner it should play. And hence, we had a POSH Act in place after the Vishaka judgment, which brings in that there has to be a committee, a compulsory committee in every office. That committee has to have one independent committee member. Now, in this, if you'll see, the timeline is also very specific, because once the time passes, these kind of matters creates an environment which is unhealthy for the person who is a victim, alleged victim, and also gives a lot of leeway to the alleged criminal or the offender. And that's where I think they're bringing in very strict timeline in the POSH Act, also bringing in that transparency by bringing an independent person. The timeline, if you look into the timeline, are very strict in the POSH related matter for the committee to look into it, to pass the judgment, and after that, the employer, that is the organization, to act upon it. These timelines are pretty much very tight when it comes to office environment. Apart from this, see, one more thing is there. You spoke about the office environment and the reputation loss. The organizations also have to live with reputation, and then organizations like these, they need to maintain that both the sexes, and they need to maintain that parity, that work environment is as healthy as possible. And when you talk about sexual crimes or sexual related misconduct and aspects in an office, it's an absolute unhealthy environment for that matter. One side we are talking about have women related crochet, or have period related, the menstruation holidays and things like that, so that we bring in parity. And other side we are talking about these kind of incidents happening, and if organizations are giving not acting upon it seriously, this is an absolute unhealthy environment for that matter. And I think that's where strict implementation of POSH related cases have to be there. I think one thing that we need to look into there, that law is very strict, the timelines are pretty much strict, but is implementation happening in the manner it should happen? And I think that's where we are little falling short, because if you see the surveys in India as well, POSH related matters are not being taken up as seriously as the intent of the POSH Act was all about. And I think that's where we need to put more focus upon and see through that who's looking into the independent aspect of POSH, number one, transparency in the POSH related matter. And apart from that, I think all of us need to be also aware about, one is POSH, which has to be taken care by the committee to act upon the perpetrator or the criminal. There is another thing, which is your own criminal laws in the country. And issues like that is nothing to do with just office. It is practically state crime against state.
All right. Khushbu, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.